Yo, what is up guys, welcome to a new video. Today I want to do a quick tutorial and it's going to be about stems. I asked you on Instagram what kind of tutorial you wanted for this week. A lot of you said that you wanted something related to stems, why to use stems and so on. So if you want to suggest some tutorials, you can do it just down below here in the comments, or you can follow me on Instagram and when I ask you, you can suggest there your tutorial, and if I like it, maybe do it. So you want to use stems for two reasons. The first one is to save some CPU. Even if you have a good computer, sometimes you can have a really huge project that your computer cannot handle. So for example, if you have like contact serum or something like this that is really heavy CPU and you export this to stems, your computer is not going to have to work on that and it's going to save a lot of CPU. The second reason is for collabs. Maybe when you're collabing with another person, that person doesn't have the same DAW as you. For example, you can have FL Studio and that person can have Ableton, Logic, Pro Tools or whatever. So as you cannot work with the same DAW, you have to export the stems, and this way the other person can work with what you did. Also, even if you have the same DAW, sometimes you want to export it because maybe you have the same synth, you have the same plugins and so on. So this way the other person doesn't have to download those plugins or maybe even buy them. So well, with that explained, let's start with this tutorial. Here I have the project of how to make build-ups, the previous tutorial. If you didn't check it at the end of this one. And well, let's say that you want to export, for example, this is snare. So the only thing you have to do is just go here on File, Export, and click on Wave File. But the thing is that what I recommend to do is try to group things. For example, this snare is working with this other snare. So we have this one and this one. So what I recommend you to do is export them together so you don't have so many stems to send to the other person. But what happens, the second snare has some sidechain. And here we have the automation clips for the sidechain. So here, this part, the sidechain is not enabled. But as it is muted, it is enabled. So you have to enable all the automation clips of the things you're gonna export. And when you export it, you're going to have it as it should. So what I recommend you to do is enable all the automation clips so you don't really care what automations are doing what, so you don't have to think about that. And just enable them so everything is going to sound good. For example, here we have some automations for the master, and this is up to you if you want to export the stems with these effects or not. In my opinion, if you want to send this to somebody else, it's better to not use them, and just use this at the end result, when the track is completely mixed. So as we're not going to use those effects, I'm just going to mute them clicking here. So let's export the snares, and what I recommend you to do is always start from the beginning, because when you send this to the person, if you just, for example, select the part where the snares are, the other person is not going to know if these snares should be here, should be here, should be here. But if you always start from the beginning, they're going to know where they are. They just put all the stems here, and as all of them start in the beginning, the things are going to be where it should. But for example, if you have more things here and the snare just at this part, what you can do is just select this from the beginning to here, so you save a bit of time. And also remember that sometimes you have reverb and the reverb has some tail, so give some space, don't end it here. So now just click here on File, Export and Wave File, or click Ctrl R, put the name you want, like track snare stem, save it, put it on the max quality. I put it on 32, some people put it on 24. In theory 32 has more quality, and just start. So now we contract this stem into FL Studio or send it to somebody else, and it looks like this. But what happens if you want to export something and have it directly on FL Studio? You have to export it and then drag it in. You can do it in another way. Let's say in this case that you want to export the leads. So since FL Studio 20, what you can do is just go here, right click and consolidate this track. You can do it from track start, that is from here, but as I said before, I recommend you to do it from the beginning. And to do this, you just have to click on from song start. So just go here, click here, put it on max and just start. So what this is going to do is render this and put it into FL Studio at the same time. And as you can see, at the same time also mutes the pattern that you had before. So now you don't have the synth of these leads working, that in this case are 7 leads, 7 sounds, 7 silent and serums. So your computer is not going to have to work on this and just read what this stem has. But when you're doing it this way, you have to take care about the automations, because sometimes they work and sometimes they don't work. So if we put them in the same track, and let me enable everything, and now we consolidate. If we check the end of it, as you can see here, this one is from the filter, and as you can see, is going up. So if we check these two stems, this one that was before, it keeps the same filter, but this one is doing what the filter is doing. But if you do it this way, make sure that you cannot, for example, export all those risers together. If you want to export all of them together, you have to export it the way before, just file and export, because this way you're just exporting the tracks. Or what you can do is put all of them together in one track, so this way they are gonna be exported together. But what if you want to export something to save some CPU and later you want to keep working on the effects you had, because for example you applied a reverb just to have something, a quick reverb, and then you want to touch it to have a clean and good reverb. You maybe applied some compression, you want to work on that, some sidechain and so on. So what you can do is this. Let's say that we want to export the leads. So what we can do, well, these leads are routed here for the reverb and to this bus. So let's take out these effects here. So what you want to do first is copy the volume, because now what you want to do is reset this and disable all the effects. Okay, now you have this reset. What you want to do is click on this button here, click here, this recording, and render to WAV file. So what this is going to do is render to WAV file everything that is selected on those dots. If you have it on the master, it's going to render everything. So in this case, it doesn't matter if you don't have the leads solo and you have everything enabled, because if you only have this selected, it's going to only render this. So if we click on start, it exported here the stem of these leads. And what FO Studio does in this case is put this stem on the next mixed channel. So it's on the 8th, so we want to put it on the same as it was, on the bus in this case. So now it sounds exactly the same. But now we put back the volume, we enable the effects, we disable this, and now we can work on whatever you want of our effects. So we can work on the sidechain and change it like this. If you want it, you can work on the compression and change it. You can work on this OTT and change it. So this way you're saving CPU, because you don't have all those serums and silent working, but you can work on all the effects. So well guys, these are 3 ways to export the stems in FO Studio. I think there is one more way, but I don't really recommend it, because what it does is export all the mixed channels. But if you have buses, it's gonna also export the buses, and it's a bit mess. So I prefer to do it this way and just do it the way I want. For example, putting all the effects in one stem, all the snares in one stem, and this way I don't have so many stems. So well guys, hope this tutorial helped you in any way. If it did, just give a like, subscribe so you miss any tutorial, because as I always say, I upload one tutorial every single week. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.